Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hobart begins now.
Good evening. We begin with the breaking news of a major development in the 2021 Hillcrest tragedy in which 6 children were killed. The operator of the jumping castle at the centre of the incident has been charged by the Department of Public Prosecutions. For more, we're joined now by Victoria Eastoe. Victoria, what was the rationale behind the charges?
Good evening, Louise. The DPP has charged Tasor with a Category 2 offence under the Work Health and Safety Act. The 6 students were killed when the jumping castle they were on lifted into the air at Hillcrest Primary School. The DPP accuses the company of not complying with a health and safety duty that exposed the children to a risk of death or serious injury. The maximum penalty under the Act is $300,000 for any person operating a business or up to $1.5 million for a body corporate. This afternoon, Morris Blackburn lawyers, on behalf of the victims' families, issued a statement saying they welcome the announcement and thank WorkSafe for its hard work. A court hearing is set for Friday, February 2nd next year. Louise.
The number of Tasmanian councils would be halved under an alternative vision put forward at the end of a 2-year review process. A path forward to slash 5 councils has been handed to the Minister, who's firm there won't be any forced amalgamations.
With 29 councils long deemed to be too many, the future of local government boards says 15 could be just right, releasing an alternative vision as part of their final report.
The most important thing to make clear today is that no decisions have been made.
The government's ruled out forced amalgamations, but this report recommends starting 5 proposals for voluntary ones. It would see 12 councils going to 7. With Kentish and Latrobe combined, Circular Head, West Coast and Waratah Wynyard become 2 councils. Break a Day, Glamorgan, Spring Bay and Sorell could do the same. They also say Huon Valley and Kingborough should investigate merging, as well as Hobart and Glenorchy.
No, there has to be something in it for the community. Otherwise, we're just sort of shifting around letterheads and office chairs.
A 2-year timeline is recommended for potential mergers, with working groups guiding the process. There are 37 recommendations in total. Among them, a greater emphasis on community wellbeing, more sharing of services between councils, professional development of councillors and council candidates, and expanding the revenue base.
State government and federal government pushing down costs onto local government to bear from their departments that they should be funding. Now that actually creates a revenue shortfall when we've got to do things that state government should be doing.
We've extended the consultation phase to 3.5 months till the 29th of February next year for councils to have as many meetings with their community to discuss the recommendations that are in the report.
The final report, just the start of the work to sustainable councils. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Financial modelling used by the government to justify its now dropped fire tax is set for scrutiny after Dean Winter referred the matter to the Public Accounts Committee. Documents tabled by the government this week show Treasury officials expressing concern over their source and whether the numbers even added up.
So the rates would have needed to be higher than what's actually gone out for consultation. What's pretty clear here is that there wasn't enough work done before this document went out for consultation. Not only
the Fire Minister says Treasury modelled one option put out for consultation while the government created another which would see regional Tasmanians pay less.
We put that option as well in the mix because we want to work with our communities. But I suppose the important thing to note as well is that we're in the consultation phase.
A stakeholder group is now working through new funding reform models. Thousands more aspiring TAFE students will get to study for free thanks to a second-year extension of a popular government-funded program. It's hoped the financial boost will help mitigate skill shortages being felt here in Tasmania and across the country.
Switching Parliament House for Mother Nature. State and federal governments today met with TAFE trainees who hold the key to solving a national crisis.
We're living through one of the largest skills and labour shortages in our country's history, and what that's meaning is in Tasmania a good problem. There's more jobs than people.
The federal government now pumping $8.9 million into Tasmania's fee-free TAFE initiative to upskill the next generation.
The first initiative was 3,800 TAFE and vet places. From 2024 it's 4,600.
In terms of the actual courses that we choose, we try and align those with areas of particular needs in our community. So as I mentioned before, things like agriculture, the care sector, cybersecurity.
The full list of courses will be released online next week, but whether Tasmania has the teaching staff to support the financial boost is another question.
We currently have employed 40 new teachers in the TAFE space and with 60 more to come, and ensuring that we're delivering a great enterprise bargaining agreement will be key as part of that.
This is not a challenge just for Tasmania, this is a challenge for the entire country.
Both governments will celebrate the workers they do have tonight at the Australian Training Awards in Hobart. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
An 18-year-old has been charged after a man known to her was seriously injured in a two-car crash in Cressy last night. Emergency services were called to the incident on Charles Street at around 5:30, where police allege a 23-year-old man was injured after stepping out of his ute. He was transported to the Launceston General Hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A Cressy woman was taken into custody at the scene and was later charged with causing grievous bodily harm. She appeared before a Launceston magistrate this afternoon, where she was bailed with strict conditions to reappear at the St Helens Magistrates Court in February. Crisis accommodation support services in Tasmania have been given a boost to help curb the number of Tasmanians living on our streets. The Tasmanian and federal governments coming together to support services on the back of a state pledge to end homelessness in 2 decades.
Mara House has been helping vulnerable women get off our streets for years into safe and livable accommodation. Now an additional $120,000 commitment is giving them more of the facilities they need.
And what really stood out to us was the housing crisis and providing that emergency accommodation to young Tasmanians.
Meanwhile, state and federal housing ministers on site to open the new Bethlehem House in North Hobart, the safe haven able to accommodate 50 men who would otherwise be homeless.
Living in tents, they're couch surfing, they're living in cars, and unfortunately some of them are living under bridges.
The federal government today also spruiking its latest commitment of 110 new homes.
This will add to supply here in Tasmania and comes on top of the 1,200 homes that Housing Australia will be supporting here in Tasmania.
These housing announcements coming off the back of the state government's ambitious plan to end homelessness by 2042.
But if the aim's not to get to zero, then what are we doing as a government?
But there are still concerns. Colony 47 labelling the state government's homelessness strategy as underwhelming, arguing it requires more collaboration.
What is going to change, even in the next 12 months, because the strategy really is almost like the government talking to itself. It is absent of the people and absence from the reality in the housing and homelessness sector.
The state government says it's equally committed to support services.
Whilst the strategy talks about building more homes and the need to supply more homes and units of accommodation, we also know that we need to be investing in crisis and supported accommodation right across the state as well.
A third accommodation facility is also in the works. It's planned for Devonport. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A mixture of 10 artists from Tasmania and from as far as New York are part of the new contemporary exhibition at TMAG called Epoch. Artist Nathan Maynard says his work speaks to Aboriginal remains being held in white institutions. He's hoping to encourage visitors to think twice.
Hopefully you raise questions, you start conversations, and that's all this piece is about, is starting conversations.
The exhibit is one of many art installations popping up across the city over summer.
Mona and TMAG are all part of that ecosystem and supporting those artists and fostering imaginative ideas here in the city and in the broader state. The
pieces will be on show until February 11. A northern Tasmanian teenager has added her name to the history books as the inaugural recipient of the City of Launceston's Ariane Titmus Swimming Scholarship. 15-year-old Abby King has been recognised as one of Launceston's most promising emerging talents, saying she takes inspiration from the Tasmanian Olympians' determination.
I love the sport swimming and there's nothing else I would do. So swimming with an injury made me more determined to swim my hardest.
I think it's just a great legacy that Ari is able to bring forward to the community and to continue to inspire.
The scholarship program is designed to help young talent reach their full potential. Whisky fans are in high spirits after a popular Launceston distillery added to its range. Western Tiers has spent more than 2 years working on its first triple distilled whisky. Matured in a port cask, the liquor has been described as full-bodied, luscious and exotic by Tasmanian whisky pioneer Bill Lark.
And guys like Bill can put together a summation of what this whisky really is like and give it the accolades that he has. Makes us pretty happy that we're on the right track.
The single malt whisky will be available at the cellar door next month, with 2 more variations hitting the shelves next year. Tasmanians are being encouraged to think of those in need this holiday season, with Hobart City Mission's Christmas Assistance Program making a return. Several organisations are doing their part to provide relief, including 10 Lives, collecting food donations for people struggling to fill their pets' bowls.
People really do put their pets before themselves in so many cases, and we want to make sure that at least this time of the year we can help in some way.
We're looking at seeing over 1,400 families this year. We have, of those applications, 1,400 pets. Of those pets, there's about 550 cats.
Donations can be dropped off at the 10 Lives Cat Centre or its op shops and will be delivered to Hobart City Mission before December 13. The owners of an historic homestead in the Northern Midlands are preparing to open the gates to members of the public for the first time. They're busy pruning the last roses before welcoming thousands through their grounds as part of this year's Longford Blooms.
A garden steeped in history, blooming into a new era.
This has been a wonderful opportunity to be in the great outdoors doing up a beautiful old garden and giving it character and bringing it back to life.
When Andrew and Meredith Meaves purchased Longford House in 2021, they say the grounds had seen better days.
There were weeds everywhere. In fact, it was very much like Sleeping Beauty's house. The gardens were covered in sticky weeds, so we didn't know what we were going to find.
They've since dedicated countless hours to breathing new life into the gardens.
We've pretty much put our lives on hold over the last 2.5 to 3 years. So every day we spend at least 4 to 5 hours in the garden.
And now, for the first time in the homestead's rich history, the public is being invited to stop and smell the roses of Longford House.
It's about sharing gardens, talking about gardens. There's something very almost spiritual, I suppose, very meditative about being in a garden.
Longford will be abuzz this weekend with 10 other gardens set to welcome thousands through their gates, all converging on the town for the 10th edition of Longford Blooms.
Everyone tends to be in a very good mood when they're walking through a garden.
Ready to share their labour of love with the masses.
It's been marvellous for both of us, and I think we're stronger for it, physically and emotionally.
Some flowery fun awaits Longford. Victoria Easto, 7 Tasmania News.
Thousands of tourists have sailed into Hobart aboard one of the world's most prestigious cruise liners. The Royal Princess docked this morning for its maiden call to the city. Sailing from Sydney to Hobart on a 4-day voyage, the vessel is the first major liner to make it to Tasmania this cruise season. 3,500 guests spent the day enjoying tourist hotspots. More than 330 metres long, the liner is a whopping 19 decks high and was christened by Catherine, the Princess of Wales, 10 years ago.
Scott Roth has warned his side to tighten their defence or face missing the playoffs after the Jack Jumpers' 97-92 loss to New Zealand last night. Despite a final quarter surge and 20 points from the returning Will Magnay, the coach says Tasmania is leaking too many points.
Shape up or face being shipped out of the playoff race. The Jack Jumper defence is on notice.
Kind of just be all over the map, and that will lead to, not getting into the playoffs, not finishing in the top 6.
Scott Roth after answers as his team once again gave up more than 90 points.
Our defence continues to be quite porous, and it's something that if we don't fix, we're not going to go anywhere.
The Jackies started strongly at both ends of the court. New Zealand, though, began finding the net, holding a narrow quarter-time lead.
Risky pass in the backcourt. McDowell wide on the move, off the glass! Why not?
Slicing through, the Breakers were breaking down Tasmania's defence. A 25-17 quarter extending their lead. Anthony Lamb on fire for the visitors.
McDowell white. Oh, one more. Swings the Lamb up top. Oh, yeah! Oh, no.
20 in the half for Lamb.
Will Magnay was finding form on his way to 20 points, but New Zealand's defence was frustrating the home side. The Jackies 13 points down with a quarter to play.
Defence leading to offence is normally what New Zealand does really well. And there you go.
Audacious from Isaiah Liafa.
But no matter the score, you can never write off Tasmania. A final quarter surge from the home side whittling the margin down.
Breakers under pressure. Turnover, Doyle with the jam.
They just never go away.
But a last gasp effort came unstuck, handing New Zealand the win.
Oh, what
turnover! Liafa snatched it away. What a play!
Tasmania don't have much time to waste. They face Cairns tomorrow, who lost to Perth last night.
It's not life or death by any means. It's just going to be another basketball game that we have a chance to get better in some areas.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The Hobart Hurricanes are chasing 122 for victory in their must-win WBBL clash against the Melbourne Stars. Batting first, Melbourne got off to a fast start through veteran Meg Lanning, the retiring Australian player scoring a quick-fire 27 off 19 balls. But the Canes were able to fight back midway through the innings with Nicola Carey among the wickets.
She hasn't. Ishmael holds on down the order. Oh, this is miscued, and it should be out. Carey, though, awkward. That is a magnificent catch. Swirly breeze. She lost sight of it.
A short time ago, the Hurricanes were 2 for 68.
Good evening. Well, yeah, I've got my hat and I've got my apron, so I'm set for the big day tomorrow, McHappy Day. Time to get behind the cause and help raise those funds for Ronald McDonald House. I'm sure it will be flippin' good. Now, today, Hobart warmed up to 23 degrees to share the top with Fingal, Launceston 21, 19 for Devonport and Burnie. Temperatures near or above average, St Helens 22 today, Bushy Park 21, 20 the high at Friendly Beaches, Grove 19, a bit cooler over Strawn and the Bass Strait Islands. Now fine for most of us today, just a few and far between showers over the west as that cloud gathered there. A band of cloud extends from near Alice Springs to Brisbane, with more along WA's eastern border and the mainland's southern coast. Tomorrow the high pressure ridge runs along the southern parts of the nation, troughs and lows to the north. Winds west-southwesterly 10 to 20 knots, lighter over the east, with swells climbing towards 5 metres in western and southern waters. Forecast for tomorrow, Hobart a shower or two and 18 degrees, but at 10:30 in the morning when the Christmas pageant kicks off, it'll be around 16 degrees with the showers holding off. That's great news. Remember the road closures too in the morning around the city. Maydena a shower or two, 17, 19 the top for Oatlands. Launceston a high of 24 and partly cloudy, 20 the top for Devonport, a shower or two for Lyowini, 17 the maximum. Burnie 20 and partly cloudy, a shower or two for Strawn, 16 the top, 16 also for Marrawar. And along the east coast, partly cloudy for St Helens with 20, but a possible shower for Swansea and Orford, both expecting 19. Sunday, fine but cloudy, the chance of another shower for Hobart, a possible shower over the southeast on Monday, light winds and an afternoon sea breeze. And on Tuesday, fine and partly cloudy over the north and northwest and the islands, a shower or two elsewhere. Sunny and 31 in Perth tomorrow, fine in Adelaide, 20 and partly cloudy in Melbourne, fine but partly cloudy in Sydney and Brisbane, a storm for Alice Springs but sunny in Darwin. Bit of cloud about Hobart, 17 at the moment, partly cloudy in Launceston and 20, 18 now in Devonport. Louise, even in your state, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get to your Maccas tomorrow for a Big Mac. And right now, you'll now understand why I never wear hats. My wife Donna will not ever let me wear one of these in her presence. Don't know why.
Oh, poor Donna. I just don't know how she does it. Thank you for that, Merv. That's all your news for this Friday. I'll be back later on with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.